Hey, in today's business English lesson, you will learn 30 simple but professional phrases that you can use in your conversations at work, in your meetings, and in your emails. Let's go. All right, so first up, we have some phrases for starting a conversation or starting a meeting. A very simple one is, let's get started, shall we? Let's get started, shall we? So let's say that you have called a meeting, whether it is formal or informal, whether it's been planned or whether it's last minute. Maybe you make some small talk and you want to get to the main topics of the meeting. You can simply say, let's get started, shall we? And this one is also a nice transition from your small talk into more organized and serious topics. Another way to start a meeting or start a group conversation is by thanking everyone. You can simply say, thank you for being here, or thank you all for being here today if you have a larger or more formal group setting. Of course, you can also thank them again at the end of the meeting or the end of the presentation or conversation, but it's also nice to start off by acknowledging that people are there and giving their time and attention to you. Another alternative to that would be, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate your time today. Okay, so this one is slightly more formal, but very similar to thank you for being here or thank you for your time. So just a variation for you. Another great one is, before we begin, let me briefly go over our agenda for today. Before we begin, let me briefly go over our agenda for today. Now, this one would be suitable for a more organized meeting in which you have an agenda, maybe to show on a PowerPoint presentation to your group or to your audience or your team. All right. And next, we have another good one for transitioning from small talk into the topics of your meeting or conversation. You can say, shall we dive right in? Shall we dive right in? This just means let's get started. Dive in is an idiom or an expression that means let's start, okay? So this one is very nice, very common, a little bit more conversational, still appropriate for work though. All right, our next group of phrases is great for sharing ideas or sharing opinions, okay? Now, whether you are in a formal meeting or an informal, unscheduled, or unplanned conversation at work, you can use any of these phrases. I'd like to suggest that. I'd like to suggest that. I'd like to suggest that we give this idea a try. I'd like to suggest that we look into other options, okay? I would like to suggest that. Another one is from my perspective. From my perspective. This one is very easy to use. You can just replace I think with from my perspective. It's a little bit more formal, so it's a nice alternative to I think. Using I think all the time can be a little bit repetitive. Another option, if you're maybe brainstorming solutions to a problem with your team, you can say, one possible solution could be to outsource the entire project. And let's say that you are in the middle of a group meeting or a group conversation or discussion or brainstorming session, and you want to add a point or add your opinion. You could say, if I may, I'd like to add something. If I may, I'd like to add something. Now, this is a nice way to sort of politely interrupt, not interrupt in a rude way, but to make space for you to give your opinion when it's related to something that someone else is saying. So you want to interrupt to add to their point, but you don't want to interrupt them rudely. This is a nice option. Let's say that you're going around the room and everyone in the team has a chance to share their opinions. You could start off by saying, here's what I propose. Here is what I propose. And then proceed to share your idea or share your proposal with the group. Now, if you're enjoying today's lesson and you are looking to take your business English communication to the next level, be sure to check out the Essential English for Business course. This is an online self-study course that I designed to help you communicate confidently and professionally at work. I will link the Essential English for Business course down below so you can learn more about it. All right, next up we have some phrases for agreeing and disagreeing politely. There are times when we have to disagree in business and at work, but of course, you always want to keep it polite, diplomatic, and professional. First step, a very easy one to agree. You can say, I completely agree with you, or absolutely. I completely agree with you, or absolutely. You can also say, that's a great point. That's a great point, or you make a great point. Okay, that's a great point, or you make a great point. Now, to disagree, you can say, I see where you're coming from, but or however. I see where you're coming from. However, I think we should consider an alternative. I see where you're coming from, but I do think we should consider an alternative. Okay. So this is a nice introductory phrase before you are going to blatantly disagree with someone. Of course, there's a time and a place in which you need to say, I disagree or I absolutely disagree. But generally speaking, when it's a back and forth conversation, a discussion, you're working as a team, it is better to be polite and to be diplomatic when you're disagreeing. And this is a very easy but effective way to do that. In those times when you do want to be a little more direct, you can say, I have to respectfully disagree here. I have to respectfully disagree here. Okay, so this is a nicer way of saying I really have to disagree here. Another option for disagreeing is, could we consider an alternative approach? Could we consider an alternative approach here? And if you want to be a little bit more direct, let's say you are the manager of the team, you can say, let's consider an alternative approach here. These very small changes in word choice also change the tone of the overall statement. By changing one word, could we consider or let's consider, you are changing the statement from a question, could we, to a suggestion, let's do this, a strong suggestion. All right, next up we have some phrases for asking for clarification. Now, especially in business, it is important that when you don't understand something, you ask. A lot of times we feel naturally like admitting we don't understand something or admitting we need clarification. It makes us look bad. We don't feel confident. But there are diplomatic and professional ways to ask for clarification. So for example, could you please clarify what you mean by this point? Could you please clarify what you mean by this point? Now, this is a nice way of giving someone the opportunity to give you more information, to clarify a point for you, to explain something to you. If you disagree with them, if you don't understand what they've said, if it doesn't make sense to you, it is the fair and professional thing to do to ask them for clarification before challenging what they've said. Another great way to do this is asking for more detail. You could simply say, would you mind explaining that in more detail? Would you mind explaining that in a little more detail? Would you mind explaining that in more detail? Again, giving them a chance to clarify and expand on whatever they have told you about. Now, if it is an issue of language and there is a language barrier and you're discussing some information that is necessary and important for everyone to understand, you could say, just to be sure everyone has understood, could you please rephrase that? Just to be sure everyone has understood, could you please rephrase that? Now, you could use a phrase like this in a situation where you have people that speak multiple languages. English is not the first language in the room, and you feel like maybe yourself and others have not understood this. I've been in cases like this many times as I've traveled quite a lot, where English is not the first language, and it's clear that an English speaker is speaking in a way that the rest of the room or the rest of the group doesn't understand. And it's okay to kind of pause and make sure that everyone is on the same page before continuing the discussion. Another great one is, before we go any further, can I ask a quick question about that? Before we go any further, can I ask a quick question about that? Okay, so instead of waiting till the end and being more confused, it's okay to pause and ask for clarification in this way. And let's say that you need help with something that wasn't really clear. You can say, would it be possible to get some assistance with this? Would it be possible to get some assistance with this? You're basically saying, I need help with this. It's not clear. I don't understand it. Would it be possible to get some assistance with this? All right, let's look at some common ones for making arrangements or requests, making arrangements or requests. First up, let's say you want to schedule a meeting with someone. You can ask, would you be available for a meeting on Tuesday at 10 a.m.? Would you be available for a meeting on Tuesday at 10 a.m.? Another very common question to ask is, can we schedule a time to discuss this further? Can we schedule a time to discuss this further? Another one is, please let me know your availability. Please let me know your availability. So let's say you are discussing a possible or tentative meeting with someone and they need to let you know when they're free. You can say, please let me know your availability. Now let's imagine that you are making a request for more time for something. You don't have enough time to finish a task. You can say, I'd like to request a bit more time to complete this. I'd like to request a bit more time to complete this. And if you are asking for more time or an extension on a deadline, I would recommend being specific about how much time you need. So for example, I would like to request more time to complete this. I can have it done by Friday afternoon if that works for you. Okay, so you want to give them a new deadline instead of just saying, I need more time. And then the person comes back to you with how much time do you need? It becomes a long conversation. Okay, so make sure you're specific and concise. Let's imagine you want to request some feedback. You can simply say, I would appreciate your feedback on this. I would appreciate your feedback on this. Okay, so those are some phrases for making requests or arrangements in different situations. Now some phrases for ending a conversation or an email politely. You have to decide, of course, which is more suitable for an email and which is more suitable for a conversation. Remember that written communication and verbal communication are not the same. Generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, written communication is a little bit more formal. Okay, so just keep that in mind as a rule if you're not sure. First up, we have thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you for your time and consideration. You could use this one at the end of an email or at the end of a formal presentation that you've given. Okay, thank you for your time and consideration. Next up, we have looking forward to your response. Looking forward to your response, okay? And a little bit more neutral or less formal would be looking forward to hearing from you. Looking forward to hearing from you. Looking forward to your response, a little more formal. Looking forward to hearing from you, slightly more neutral. Both are appropriate. Another great one, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, okay? So that means contact me if you have questions or let me know if you have questions. Let's say that you haven't quite finished a discussion and it's going to be ongoing. You can say, I'll follow up with you shortly. I'll follow up with you shortly. Or you can give a specific time frame here. I'll follow up with you later this week. I'll follow up with you in the next few days. I'll follow up with you next week. I'll follow up with you shortly. I will be in touch again. And a nice one for ending a conversation or even a phone call. You can say, have a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the day. I hope the rest of your day is good. That's what it means, okay? Have a great rest of the day. So all of the phrases from today's lesson will be listed in the description box down below. You can copy them into your notes. You can make more notes about them, use them for practice. You can also pick and choose a few that you like, that you think are useful for you, and go ahead and implement those into your daily life. Don't feel like you have to memorize all 30 of these and use them right away. I'm giving you tools that you can use at work, but it's up to you to pick and choose the best tools, the most appropriate for your situation, okay? Don't feel like you need to overwhelm yourself and overload yourself. Start with a few, pick 5 of them, and take it from there. So there you have it, 30 easy but professional phrases that you can use to communicate at work. If you enjoyed today's lesson, please do give it a thumbs up, leave a comment to let me know, and subscribe. This really helps me to help the channel grow and reach more English learners all around the world. Thank you for watching, learning, and spending time here today. I will see you very soon in another one.